What if you could take someone's real pain point, something they've been struggling with maybe for many years, and turn it into an audio experience that is so deeply meaningful and therapeutic to them that they come back again and again to listen to it? And what if you can turn that audio into a digital product, a YouTube channel, an online business, an income stream built with the intention of helping other people?
You can stop now. Yes, you can. And whatever tension you've been holding today, whatever you were tracking, managing, absorbing, or worrying about on someone else's behalf, you don't have to carry it in here with you now, do you?
Now, maybe you've already tried to create meditation scripts using ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or any of the other LLMs, and maybe it did produce a pretty decent script, but it's probably not going to be the kind of script that your audience or your client returns to again and again. It's probably not going to provide a deeply immersive, life-changing, meaningful experience. And that gap between low-effort content and high-effort content using AI tools is what this masterclass is all about. Welcome to the third installment of our masterclass series on this channel. If you're new here, my name is Natasha. I am a nurse, a content creator, a mental health clinician who has been working in the wellness space for many years as a ghostwriter, researcher, and voiceover artist. And basically on this channel, I teach wellness creators how to use AI to create meaningful, high value, and transformative content. Not AI slop, but literature-based, meaningful content that can transform people's lives. In Masterclass 1 and 2, I walked you through my PIT framework, the 4-part structure I use for writing transformative meditation and hypnosis scripts, and then turning them into digital products. If you haven't watched those, I highly recommend starting there. But in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the script writing tool that I built using Claude Code. It's basically a prompt system that I calibrated specifically to how I research, brainstorm, and develop wellness content. And in this video, I'm going to share the full workflow in real time as I build it. But more than just tools, I want to leave you with the conviction that your own creativity, your own lived experience, and your human touch are still the most valuable assets you have, even in the age of AI. Remembering that AI is just a tool, and a tool is only as good as the person and the intention behind it. All right, so in this video, I'm going to be using this mini series that I've been building as our case study. It's essentially an audio program for people who identify as empaths, who embody the caregiver or wounded healer archetype, and something they can listen to before going to bed. And now I'm going to be taking you along with me on this alchemical journey of taking a human pain point and turning it into a digital product, walking you through my personal script writing process. This is literally the entire system I developed over the years while ghostwriting for therapists, life coaches, and wellness brands. And this process is what a mediocre script, a cookie cutter, AI slop script completely lacks, and it's really not that hard to implement, especially now with the help of AI, but using it as a co-creator. So here's my flowchart of the first script that I'm writing for this mini-series. So as you can see, the pain point that I'm focusing on in this script is the pain of carrying the problems of others as your own, or pretty much becoming a martyr for the suffering of the entire world and forgetting about oneself and one's own right to happiness and joy in life. Then I have my intended audience and outcome. Above just sleep, I want this audience to reclaim their sense of agency and reframe some of those limited belief systems that keep them from still caring about the world, but also care for themselves and their own lives. And the core metaphor is basically what imagery I want to use. Remembering, guys, that imagery and symbolism is powerful because it's the language of the unconscious or subconscious mind. It's the language that the brain easily receives and is very receptive to. It's also a very powerful tool for bypassing mental resistance to any new perspectives or suggestions or beliefs that you want to instill in your client or the audience. This is why just adding generic affirmations can often backfire. Anyway, in this case, my core metaphor is a finely tuned instrument becoming retuned. I'll get more into that concept later. Then we have my PIT framework that you learned in Masterclass 1. But basically, if you know my work, you know that I am a huge 𝗘𝗟𝗯𝗀 and Jungian psychology fan, and that's the approach I take with literally all the content I create, but especially when writing meditations and hypnosis scripts. So the techniques I use also come from clinical hypnotherapy, the use of double binds, which is a communication or language technique that presents two or more positive choices at the same time. Or you'll see me use truisms a lot, which are basically statements that are universally known as true. It's a way to build rapport with clients and create less mental resistance. At the bottom, I just have some, well, you could call them many things, experiential language, verbs, and in a way, embedded suggestions that invite the listener to have a desired internal experience, which in this case, one that embodies the resilient witness, which at the end of the day is what I want this audience to feel like. And what is the resilient witness? Well, in Jungian psychology, it can be seen as basically the mature or leveled up version of the wounded healer. And I could literally talk about this archetype forever, but in regards to this script I'm building and the audience I'm creating it for, these are people who absorb every news headline like it's a personal burden they have to carry, that feel guilty for moments of happiness or pleasure because of someone else's plight or their pain or their suffering. Or, and I'm guilty of this one personally, but believes that if they stop paying attention to what's going on in the world at all times, that they're abandoning humanity. However, the transformative core of this content is going to be instilling and reinforcing new beliefs around this identity, which is that, hey, I'm a caring person, I love deeply, and I really feel the suffering of others. I can still feel compassion for others, but my empathy doesn't require me to sacrifice myself emotionally, mentally, or physically. I can acknowledge the suffering of the world, the suffering within myself and of humanity as a whole, while also remaining connected to all of its beauty, hope, and, this miraculous life that we have. All right, so let's say you're having trouble deciding what kind of pain point you want to pursue. Well, I created this meditation script writing tool that basically helps me organize my thoughts and helps me articulate the intention for each of the scripts I'm writing. And I always start with identifying a pain point. So if you want to use this tool, you can download it for free. Link is in the description. But basically, this tool just helps me create an overview or an outline of the entire script that I'm trying to write. And I've made it so that you can use it as a master prompt on any of the LLMs you use, like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever. And before we move on, just as a review, here's a PIT framework that you learned about in Masterclass 1. And this tool that I created uses that PIT framework to help structure and create the outline of the script. Just keep in mind that this tool is literally calibrated to how I personally create mindset, hypnosis, and meditation scripts and content, and I find it to be very effective, especially when I have a million scripts to write in a short amount of time. But you can also create your own tool for your own style once you know what your script writing workflow is. All right, now let me give you a little preview on how to use this tool, or otherwise my process of turning a pain point into a meditation script. So stage 1, we are selecting the pain point, the human struggle we want to solve, right? And honestly, all of these options could apply to the overall pain of carrying other people's pain. But to narrow it down, let's add absorbing others' emotions, chronic overgiving, and shrinking to make others comfortable. And as you can see on the right panel, it's building up your brief or your outline. Let's add harsh inner self-talk as a pain point within one's within one's sense of self-worth. The theme of collective grief is a big one, so I'll collect the ones I want to focus on in the script. Then there's the themes of identity and life transitions, if you wanted to add those, the somatic or physical associations with carrying other people's pain, some relational aspects. Maybe there's a sense of grief and loss of future opportunities, or the loss of how the world used to be, or something like that. Then concepts related to work and one's sense of purpose and one's sense of control or ability to surrender to the flow of life. This might kind of be redundant, but like I said, this is my process, and it helps me be a more effective writer when I have a lot of things to do. This tool also allows you to add personal notes, and honestly, the more information, specific preferences that you can give to the AI, the better. I'm gonna add here not having well-defined boundaries, adopting the wounded healer archetype without appropriate integration, being sensitive yet observant. And as you can see, it gets added to our outline for our master prompt. Stage 2 is all about honing in on the audience I'm serving. So I already know my personal audience, and that's women ages 35 to 70, which, if you didn't know, is one of the most sought after audiences in marketing. And so yeah, as you can see, this section just wants to really identify the client's or audience characteristics, and even narrowing it down to what they've already tried to do to overcome this pain point. This way it meets the client or the audience where they're actually at. Like, are they someone who is doing meditation for the first time to address this pain point? Or are they someone who's been working through it for many years with many different tools? Okay, stage 3. Well, in the PIT framework, this is the transformational juice, right? The core experience within the meditation session. And this is the most important part, of course, because again, this is what separates AI slop from high quality transformative content, human-centered content, right? So let's switch back to our flowchart. So basically in my induction, I'm going for a guided, immersive visualization of being in a forest, around nighttime or sunset, right after rainfall. This within itself is a very powerful metaphoric imagery for like renewal, and I want to connect the audience to the earth a little more to have a grounding effect. You know, the imagery of the skies, the trees, using the metaphor of a finely tuned instrument is going to be heavily incorporated here. All right, back to stage 3. Now, the reason you can only choose up to 2 or 3 transformational arcs within this one script is because adding too many will distract and confuse the mind. We want to stay focused on the central theme, the central pain point, and the main outcome of this meditative experience, which is reframing one's identity of being a sensitive person as a characteristic that's not a flaw, that they just need to be tuned up, recharged, rested, given time and space to process and unpack and deconstruct before they continue being that deeply caring person. And here I'm just going to tell the AI exactly what I want included in the reframing language. Then we focus again on the desired outcomes for the audience after the session ends. And there are plenty of options for metaphors out there if you have no idea which ones to include. All right, stage 4. What kind of script style are you going for? Well, for me, you already know, I love permissive language. I like the Ericksonian approach in hypnotherapy. I want my pacing to be slow, a very intimate cadence. It's for deep sleep, The length will be 15 to 20 minutes because it will be the first session out of a 3-part series. I want a pre-talk, induction, progressive relaxation body scan, like I said, the core metaphor work and suggestions, the future progression piece, and optional sleep deepening loop, which for me usually means looping affirmations quietly in the background music until the recording ends. Again, these techniques are the ones that I'm very comfortable with using. It's my signature style. But just remember that there are tons of meditation and hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming techniques that you can implement into your own script. Last but not least, we can choose which sensory imagery we want to really present throughout the session. Now, you can either use the master prompt, copy and paste it into your chosen conversational AI, or you can just copy each section one at a time and work on them one by one. And there you have it, a very detailed outline or master prompt for building your meditation script. Now, before I get deep into my script writing workflow, I want to quickly show you what the script might look like when you just take the master prompt and pop it into an LLM. And based on your chat history and the version you use, the results will vary. But here's the meditation script that ChatGPT generates using our outline or our master prompt. You might want to use this, it could be turned into a very powerful meditation, but personally, I would never use the first, second, or even 10th draft that AI spits out for me, even if my prompt was super specific. And that's just my choice. So that was using ChatGPT 5.5, intelligence was on instant mode. And now let me show you what Claude Sonnet 4.6 on medium mode generated for me. Just keep in mind that the Claude I use already knows the style I write in, so naturally that influences its output. I like this generation better because it outlines my script, whereas ChatGPT made assumptions based on the previous chats I had with it. So yeah, Claude's version is really cool, but either way, both of these results, I'm actually going to use them. And by use them, I mean I will get inspiration and ideas out of them for how I want to write my script, because that's the honest truth. When I write meditation scripts, I write them the way an author might work on writing a book. I dump out my thoughts and ideas and intentions into the AI, and then I have it help me organize them. And then I start writing and weaving my own personal touch into the script. Sometimes I might have to stop writing and take 3 hours to read a book about the topic or watch a podcast or interview related to it. Then I'll come back to the script a day or sometimes even a month later once I feel like I'm ready to integrate that information into the script. Guys, if you didn't know, this process of getting inspiration from different sources to create content, sitting on it, relaxing with it, and processing it, then coming back to creating it, in cognitive science, this is referred to as creative flow, where you incubate ideas and inspiration in a natural way. Everyone accesses the flow state differently, but for me, I've found that immersing myself in new environments, like literally body and mind, and then physically switching up environments or activities is what helps me create the content that I'm passionate about and actually interested in. This is also why I encourage creators and new entrepreneurs to choose a niche or a topic or a pain point that you actually care about. Because this is, content creation, having an online business, a YouTube channel is a long game, at least 3 to 5 years. And there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, like a lot of downs and a lot of learning curves. So if you aren't actually invested in the content that you need to create, you will burn out hard. All right, now let's get deep into my script. As you'll notice, and as I've mentioned, I never use exactly what Claude or any of the AI spit out. I always review, edit, and add my own personal lived experience and knowledge on the topic, or even how the cadence should be in the session. All right, hope you can see that. Here is my pre-talk. You can stop now. Yes, you can. And whatever tension you've been holding today, whatever you are tracking, managing, absorbing, or worrying about on someone else's behalf, you don't have to carry that in here with you. No, because in this space that you create. All right, so you can obviously see that I use a lot of Ericksonian pacing. It's not commanding that the listener stops, but it uses permissive language like, yes, you can. And, permission always bypasses resistance. Even using the word yes, you can functions as something in hypnotherapy that's called a yes set. But in this case, it's passive and not active because our audience is broad and not directly in front of us in a live session. Anyway, that's for those who know about hypnosis. But basically, this technique from hypnotherapy works amazingly well in meditation sessions that are designed for a broad audience. You just have to make the language permissive, but also passive. You're always giving them the option and the autonomy to choose what they want this experience to be like. And whatever tension you've been holding today, whatever you were tracking, managing, absorbing, worrying about on someone else's behalf, you don't have to carry it in here now with you, do you? Okay, so this is exactly what speaking to a person's pain point really means. I'm acknowledging the common traits of this particular mindset, the hypervigilant empath figure. And I'm purposely using language that isn't clinical because I'm not trying to pathologize this mindset or this behavior because it really can be changed. It's not something they need to take medication for. Now, no, because in this space that you create in the here and now and that you can experience using the limitless power of your mind, here, I'm repositioning the listener from being a passive recipient of this audio experience to one that is, the active creator and in control of their own environment and their own inner experience. And it kind of works like a mental reinforcement technique for the entire meditative experience because it sets the tone that they are the ones doing this, not me. Because dependency is what you're not trying to create here. You want your audience to be hooked and to get addicted maybe to your content, but like I said, it has to be transformational in that you are giving them the keys to help themselves, basically. This is something that clinicians or professionals in mental health and wellness already know. But an instrument this sensitive, this precisely and beautifully tuned, wasn't designed to play indefinitely without rest, was it? And so tonight, you are invited to retune, recharge, recalibrate, to rest, and to allow yourself to finally relax. And if you'll notice, I also embedded rhetorical questions throughout this very short but very concise pre-talk. Aren't they? Wasn't designed to play indefinitely without rest, was it? And this basically acts as another yes set technique, but also a truism. Like I mentioned earlier, a truism is like a universal, undeniable matter of fact that a person's psyche can't easily disagree with. It's also a very effective, indirect hypnotic suggestion. Also using the phrase like you are invited is therapeutic because it doesn't put pressure on the listener or set high expectations. Even the phrase, and to allow yourself to finally relax, creates a little micro pause that gives more emotional weight to the word relax. It implies also that the listener has been waiting a long time for this and that they deserve to have this experience and to give this experience to themselves. So as you can see, all I did was use the draft that Claude generated for me, and then I trimmed it down by a lot. I used it to inspire the concepts and themes and transition sentences maybe, but then I turned it into my own polished work based on my own style and my many years of creating this content to know what works well. Why is this a powerful hook for a digital product or let's say a YouTube video? There's a retention hook built into it, addressing the pain point within the first 15 seconds. It's intimate, it's provocative. It's gentle though, so that sensitive listeners don't get scared and click away. It's replayable because the language is very validating, permissive, pressure-free. And there's no new age jargon or toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing language that's put into it that a lot of low effort scripts kind of tend to have. Now, I won't be going through the entire script that I wrote here in a lot of detail like I did for this pre-talk, but I do want to touch on two of the most important parts of any meditation or hypnotherapy script, and that's the hook, which I just touched on, and next I'll be walking you through the transformative core of the session. Before we get into the transformative core of my session, remember how I was mentioning the induction part, the imagery of the forest after rainfall? It's a sunset landscape, and it's really designed to allow the listener to be immersed in a forest. I also use sound effects that I created on 11 Labs sound effect generator.
A forest, fresh and luminous and alive, brimming with positive energy after a steady rain. And you are invited to venture there now. Yes, you are. The instrument has been playing without rest. The forest is where it comes to be retuned.
You may also notice I use a lot of prosodic elongation in some of my words, and it's basically a hypnotic technique or type of vocal pacing that slows down cognitive processing and emphasizes the suggestion of the experience that I'm trying to create in the audience's mind and body, to ease all tension, to have it leave the body. After that, I introduced a rapid progressive relaxation sequence, and that just basically gets them to relax their entire body from head to toe, incorporating some of the pain points in there, the collective grief and suffering of the world. You can let all of that go now to be released and received by the forest, blah, blah, blah.
Relaxed, completely relaxed. Using the power of your mind, breathing into any areas where tightness or tension may still exist, and releasing it downward. Yes, releasing it down through your body, down and into the earth.
All right, so now we get into the transformative core of the meditation.
Yes, and I wonder if it'll surprise you, or perhaps really relieve you to remember that your life is not less important, is not less valid. Your unlived desires are not trivial matters, and the world, this world that you feel so deeply for, that you have given so much of yourself to, does not benefit from you making yourself small, does it? No, it never did.
So if you are interested in seeing my entire script writing workflow, the writing techniques that I teach my clients and use to create content for my clients, you can find the link to that in the description. This tool will be available as well as more tools that I've created for my script writing workflow. But please keep in mind that this is more for mental health clinicians or very serious wellness creators.
So this section opens with a rapid series of nature-based metaphors that are delivered as passive suggestions. So eye of the storm, ocean depth, ancient tree, the sky, and the weather. Technically, these are known as interspersal suggestions. So this is when therapeutic content can be embedded or incorporated inside the imagery rather than it being just stated as an instruction or a very direct suggestion. This is very permissive language. And this is a classic Erikson-Milton technique. The metaphor basically bypasses mental resistance by giving the unconscious mind something to experience rather than something to agree or have to disagree with. And it works very well, especially for people who are not easily hypnotized or put into a relaxed and receptive state easily. When you use metaphors and you use imagery and symbolism, you're basically almost instantly switching off the conscious mind and the logic thinking mind, and you are switching on the unconscious mind. And the language pattern that I use throughout, you are learning, you are relearning, you are developing, you're becoming,
These are ways to frame suggestions. Like if you just said, you are calm. There are some hypnosis techniques that do this, but like therapeutically, the listener may immediately reject that statement internally because they don't actually feel calm. So saying you are learning to access calm is already inarguably true. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be engaging with meditation, right? So it's also like a truism. It's also true that learning is always happening, and that is also a form of a passive yes set in hypnosis. Then there's the suggestion of becoming the resilient witness, right? This is what the intended outcome of my meditation session is. All right, you are relearning to be the witness, steady, present, and whole. This is what's known as a perceptual position shift. It's when you move your client or the listener from the first position, which is inside the experience, like they're merged and immersed with it, to a meta position, which is observing the experience from a very stable vantage point somewhere else. So for this audience who have spent years in the first position with other people's experiences, this intended outcome of being the resilient witness teaches them to not feel less, but to try feeling from a different position. Now, obviously, your script is going to look different from mine, hopefully. And there are many techniques and exercises that are therapeutic that can complement your metaphors and your way of offering a solution to your audience. All my scripts look different. They will all still follow the PIT framework, but they will always incorporate different techniques. How do I choose which techniques I use? Well, it really depends on what I'm inspired by, what the pain point is, and what I know about it clinically, or what are my own specific interests about the topic. And then I use my own intuition and creativity to determine how it's going to be integrated into the session, where it's going to go within the PIT framework. Maybe sometimes I'll put affirmations instead of auto-suggestions or truisms. Maybe I will create a story within a story, or conversational hypnotherapy as my transformative core. So for example, the transformative core in this script was a mix between a future visualization, or in hypnosis, future progression. And I also put some post-hypnotic suggestions. Post-hypnotic suggestions are like instructions or ideas that are delivered while you're in a trance state, and they're supposed to be designed to activate and express themselves after the session has ended in the person's waking life. Then I ended with a short termination, reinforcing the intention of the session and giving the audience the option to choose if they want to fall asleep, or they just want to drift off, or if they want to repeat the recording. This call to repeat the recording is actually very beneficial if you intend to use this as a YouTube video. So that's the whole workflow in a nutshell, from pain point to script, and hopefully it's going to help someone navigate through their inner world and eventually their outer world. And as I always say at the end of my videos, I hope that this content I create inspires you, encourages you to start creating and to build online income from your passions, your interests, your lived experience, and your own human touch. I also hope it gives you a more grounded way of thinking about AI and using AI tools. Because at the end of the day, AI is a double-edged sword, especially when it comes to the future of humanity. And the conversation in the media right now seems to live in one of two camps. One, that AI is humanity's savior and is going to save the world, and the other camp, that AI is the devil, that it's going to destroy humanity. But for me personally, I've thought a lot about this, and I continue to think about the ethics of AI, the positives, the negatives, the nuances, and how I want to move forward with it in my life. Because basically what this technology has enabled me personally to do is to have a real shot at building a life of freedom and sovereignty. at least much more so than the life I had before. You know, I no longer have to put a lot of money towards hiring a team and a bunch of freelancers to work for me to help me create the content. Now AI is my co-creator. AI is my team, basically. And it's really the main driver as to how I'm able to earn income online, work from anywhere, travel the world, and build a business that still speaks to what I really care about, which is being of service to others in their greatest time of need. It's why I even wanted to become a nurse. And I'm gonna share more about my nursing journey on this channel soon. But the short version is, at some point, I had to stop relying and depending on one institution, the healthcare system, in this case, from where I'm from, that was essentially running on a business model that wasn't actually designed to serve the people that it claims it serves. And that slow realization, you know, from being a patient in the healthcare system with chronic illness to then working in the healthcare system and behind the scenes in patient safety, bedside nursing care, in the community, and in mental health in the federal prison system, I kind of felt like I came full circle, and this new perspective that I had really changed my life. And that is the real motivation behind the last 5 years of building multiple streams of income, diversifying my income so that I can live the life that I desire and be of service to others in a way that aligns with my values. Anyway, right now in the wellness content space, I really see two types of people. There are people who are literally being run by AI tools. These are the guys who are mass generating content that is generic, that chases an algorithm, and that is fast and easy and maybe cheap to create. And then there are people who are using these AI tools, who bring their own lived experience, their passions, their desires, and they create content that AI could simply not do on its own. And I really do believe that these are the creators that are going to matter in this space 5 years, 10 years down the line, that will not become obsolete. And I really do think that there is a really big opportunity right now to be part of the second group, to lead by example and show what it actually can look like when you create content or when you use AI that creates positive outcomes for humanity. Because whether we like it or not, AI is already here, and it is the future that's going to be interfaced with our society in so many ways, just like how cell phones and the internet took over. There's really no stopping it, but there is an opportunity to be on the right side of it, to use AI as a co-creator rather than a substitute for human wisdom and creativity. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to build here, and if you've made it this far, it's probably what you're trying to build too. All the tools that I've used and mentioned in this video are linked in the description, and yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one.
Your new self-care ritual awaits. Open the door just enough to peer inside.